And I tried. Oh my God, do I try? Hey. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am Grindberg. He is Grindberg. I am bigz. Welcome to the show. Producer! Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. He is Grindberg. I am bigz. Had to check my notes on the FFAN Fantasy Football Advice Network. Welcome, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about quarterback fades in 2024. Friends of the show will know that I'm going to give two. Grindberg is going to give two. And then, if you stick around, you'll hear my number one quarterback to fade for 2024 in redraft across all of your family leagues, work leagues, public ESPN, blah, blah, all the non-sleeper, non-MFL stuff. Of course, that's all French to you guys. Bonjour.
Bonjour. How's it going?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Mike?
I am doing great, man. I'm excited to get into these quarterback fades because, honestly, we're going to surprise some people with what we got on the slate today. You know, not everything is cut and dry, and some of the guys that we're going to be talking about today, bigz, are some big-name players. And
I'm surprised, and I wrote the shit.
Me too. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I writing about three guys that are pretty darn good quarterbacks? But you know what? There's some other guys in better positions, and why don't you get us started with your number three guy, bigz?
All right, let's act like a costume and get into it. All right, so my number three, my first quarterback fade off the board, Jalen Hurts. Now, this is a weird one because Grindberg and I are in a dynasty league, and we had a startup draft earlier in the year, and Jalen Hurts was our first pick. Is Jalen Hurts going to have a bad year? No, he's going to be fine. He's going to do great. In redraft leagues, he's not worth the ADP that you have to spend. He's not worth the draft capital that you have to give up, especially with Saquon Barkley coming in. It's not all about Jalen Hurts in this offense. They finally have an elite level running back to complement him. So my number two is Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers going to have a good year? Sure. He's going to have a fine year. He's got a lot of weapons in New York. They're definitely oriented to taking care of that division in the AFC, and he's going to be fine. The problem is he's coming off an Achilles injury. So I'm not spending a whole lot on him. Is he draftable? Sure. But as I'll get into with my number one, similar circumstance, spoiler alert, and I'll explain the draftability. How about your two?
Well, wow. I mean, you hit me with a couple big ones there. You know, a couple big name quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers. I got another big name quarterback that I'm fading in 2024, and that's Josh Allen.
Whoa.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, the guy finished QB1,
Wow.
QB1 2 years in a row, and I'm fading him based off of what he's being going at right now. He's being drafted as the number one quarterback, and I think he might have a hard time repeating that. I'm still saying that Josh Allen is going to finish probably in the top three, most likely a guaranteed top five finish, but look what happened to his team on the way out. You know, he lost Stephon Diggs, he lost Gabe Davis. You know, the new offensive coordinator change caused them to run a little bit more run-heavy offense, and I don't think they really want to be running Josh Allen as much either, so I think they're going to be a little bit more conservative, and I think McDermott is fighting for his job, and I think they're going to be a little bit more run-heavy in 2024, and I think that's just going to impact Josh Allen just a little bit to take him off the number one pedestal for 2024. Still a top three quarterback, folks, but I'm just fading him just a little bit based off of what his production has been the last two seasons. The next guy I'm fading is a another player from the same division. We're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, who always seems to start the year on fire every single season. He starts on, top 5 quarterback, and then the weather happens, the kind of falls apart, they get injured, and I just think that Tua is in a position now where he's not gonna keep up like he has in the past. He's sustained a couple concussions in the past, and he made it through 2023 concussion 3, but that will always be a concern for me. And he's like one play away from never being able to be drafted again, and he's fighting for a contract. I get that, but I just think with all the up-and-comers happening, I think Tua is just going to take a step back, and he may not start this year as hot as he has in the past.
Okay.
bigz, what is your number one guy?
My number one guy.
We're looking for him.
My spotlight. Woo! This is me shining up. I was trying to shine a light. My spotlight is Millennium Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins. Now, I know that I talk a lot about how much Cousins means to the Falcons and how much he'll help Drake London, how much he'll help Kyle Pitts, how much he'll help Bijan Robinson, and all of that remains. But like Aaron Rodgers, he's coming off an Achilles injury. In fact, his Achilles injury was later in the season than Aaron Rodgers. He's had less time to rehab it. I don't know if it was as serious, as severe as Rodgers, but it certainly happened much later. How effective he will be remains to be seen. Still up in the air. I would still draft him. He's still draftable, and that's the thing. He fades from, and this is the same with Rodgers, they fade from a target to a value, okay? So in redraft leagues, I wait until the 7th, 8th, 9th, sometimes 10th or 11th rounds to draft my first quarterback, and that's the range that these guys are going to be in. And I'm okay with going quarterback in the 9th and then another quarterback in the 10th or 11th if that second guy is going to be a Rodgers or a Cousins. Because with the track records of these guys, they very well could put up top 12 seasons. And as a bye week fill-in that you're not going to be able to get off the waiver wire if they're going off in very good offensive situations, I like having them as bench stashes. That's where they fade. They fade from being a starter, being a QB1 that I'm targeting and drafting, like Rodgers last year or Cousins last year, to being a QB2 on my roster as a bye week fill-in and kind of a lottery ticket, right? In that range, 10, 11, 12 round, the guys that you're going to be looking at as far as running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, they're going to be fine, but you could have a quarterback upwards of 450 points over the course of the season in Cousins or Rodgers. They're still draftable. They're just fading from target to a value. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that too, bigz, because Cousins is going to be drafted as a guy that's probably going to be thinking he's going to put up very similar production as he did in Minneapolis. And I think it's going to be a hard thing right out of the gate based off of his injury, coming back from his injury and learning a new offense. I think he's going to start slower. I think maybe the latter half of his season, he's going to really pop off the page and can be a guy that's going to be one that you can start in fantasy football, but I think it's going to take him a couple games to get accustomed to that and then to play off that injury. So he's going to start slower, and he may not finish as high as most people expect him to. Maybe a quarterback 12 finish is a little bit too ambitious. Probably maybe 15 range with a slower start. But I like where your head's at with targeting him if there's value there.
I like the potential of going with like a Bryce Young a little bit earlier behind I'm talking like let 12, 13, 14 quarterbacks fall before you take the upside of Bryce Young or somebody similar with a little bit of rushing upside or something, and then grabbing Rodgers or Cousins just to kind of supplement and stash them on your bench. And if they are through the injury and they go off, you're in a great spot, because now you have two quarterbacks and you can trade somebody away if you need to make a playoff run, something like that. But Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers were QB1s last season. They are going to be QB2s on my rosters this year.
Heard, Jeff. Heard. Now, I'm going to deep into my quarterback fade, and he's getting a little bit of more of a spot. Sorry, what's up, bigz? You had something to say. I saw it. Saw it in your eyes.
You froze, and I was about to ad-lib a little bit just to cover you.
Yeah. I think... All good, man. All good in the hood. Thanks for doing that. But Justin Herbert is my fade, and I'm going to tell you why. Since he's been the starting quarterback for the Chargers, they've been a pass-first offense. Last year, the Chargers ranked 7th with a 59% neutral game script. So they're one of the fastest-paced offense in the league, and I think that is really going to change under this new regime. I was lower on Herbert before the Harbaugh signing, and now it just doesn't move the needle much for Herbert. He's going to need to pass the ball at least 40 times to be a top-tier quarterback, and I just don't think that is going to happen in a Jim Harbaugh offense. When he was the QB2, he averaged a lot more passing attempts. He averaged over 40 passing attempts in the games. And with this new Harbaugh offense, I think they're just going to be a little bit more run heavy. In his 9 years at Michigan, that was a clear example of the team that likes to run the ball. When he was with the 49ers, he ranked 31st, and 32nd in pass attempts. Not great when you think of the passing attempts that might happen in the Chargers offense coming up this season. His touchdown rate is going to have to skyrocket for him to be a quarterback one, in my opinion, because the rushing upside just isn't there. Between the hiring of Harbaugh and the offseason moves, it was clear to me that Justin Herbert is a guy I'm going to be fading. Herbert will now enter 2024 without Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler, his former... Sorry, did I say... Who did I say? Did I not say Mike Williams?
No, you did.
I said Mike Evans, didn't I?
No, you said folks. Williams.
Oh, okay, sorry. You got me out of my flow, bro.
Sorry, I was covering you again.
As much as I do like Lad... Yeah, maybe my internet's lagging too much. Ladd McConkey is a guy that I really like, but I just don't think you can put all your eggs in an offensive weapon that is a rookie. They do have Josh Palmer around him, and they did bring in some decent weapons in the run game, but I just don't think that Herbert is poised to have that breakout season. From a fantasy football perspective, it's very bad news. I'm not expecting the passing volume to be there. He won't be that efficient as a passer. His situation is undoubtedly worse than it's ever been. There are major question marks at the receiver alongside the offensive scheme. He's still a great talent. However, the situation is just too murky for me to be drafting Justin Herbert in 2024, and he's kind of a fade at this point for me.
You know what has as many syllables as Justin Herbert? Overrated. Yeah, they did make an investment in their wide receiver group. They drafted Brennan Rice. They went out and they got DJ Chark. But the Chargers are a mess, and it's going to take a few years for Jim Harbaugh to rebuild that team. And if he and Greg Roman are rebuilding that team in their own image, it's going to be run heavy, and the beneficiaries of that are going to be Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and Kamani Vidal, not Justin Herbert in fantasy. Now, Ladd McConkey, still my wide receiver one.
I love Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to have a great season there. And, yeah, man, I just think the fade there is warranted without the rushing upside. And if you put down the passing attempts, it's just going to be really tough without the receiving weapons that he's had in the past. I mean, I'm not, dogging Ladd McConkey, but, he's a rookie still. And he's going to be incredible. He could finish this year as the,
Josh Palmer.
Wide receiver. Yeah, well, fair. Yeah, exactly.
Also, spoiler alert for our next episode, there might be a Chargers wide receiver on my fade list.
What? Yeah, so here at the Fantasy Football Advice Network, we're going to be talking about wide receiver fades next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fan. And you know what? Yeah. So speaking of that, I mean, Biggs, have you got your new hat yet? It doesn't look like it's come in the mail, but hopefully in the next little while we'll be seeing you sport your new fantasy football
Biggs like
advice network
bacon.
cap. Biggs like bacon, and
Biggs like
we
bacon. Shout out Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs of the Philadelphia Phillies organization. Also,
nice,
shout out
nice, nice.
Waterloo. This fruit punch seltzer is amazing. Not a sponsor, but feel free to reach out. Thank you for
Totally.
watching the Fantasy Forecast, where we forecast in fantasy. He has been Grindberg. I have been bigz. Go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the bell,
Yeah.
share the video around, but not to your opponents in your leagues. Like, don't tell your family about it. Keep this close to the vest. Follow us on Twitter at BigBonedFFB, at FFCanuck99. That's Frank
Yeah.
Canuck 99 and Big Bone Ed FFB. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
We hope you win.
Biggs. We hope you win.